Doom the Dark Ages looked insane. Mechs, dragons, Cthulhu, a gun that fires skull fragments, and a shield with a chainsaw duct taped to it. Doom had primed itself for another great entry into this franchise, and the early reviews seem to bear that out. So, what's all this about then? Why are people so split on this game? Is it just that we love controversy, or is the only way to get views on YouTube now to have a hot take? Well, kind of, but there is actually a reason for this. Hold on a second. I love Doom. I love Doom. I love the Doom franchise so much. I used to speedrun Doom Eternal. I've played the old Doom games. I've played the new Doom games. I've played the Doom games that are technically video games, I guess. So it's with a heavy heart that I tell you that Doom the Dark Ages is a good game, but it's a bad Doom game. Let me explain. So there's 3 areas I want to focus on: gameplay, exploration, and storytelling. We'll start with gameplay. The most obvious change in Doom the Dark Ages is this thing, the chainsaw shield. First of all, I'm totally okay with Doom Guy having a shield. It's medieval ages, they're switching up the formula, totally cool. On paper. However, the shield actually takes away a lot from the gameplay, way more than it adds to it. This is because the shield serves a ton of purposes. It is the multi-tool, it's the answer to everything, which unfortunately means that you have less reasons to use the rest of your arsenal. Take a look at this enemy, for example. He's got a plasma shield in front of him, meaning you have to adjust the way you approach him, which adds variety to the combat system. Sounds great, right? Just like in previous Doom games, you can use your plasma gun to overload the shield and take him out. Or you can just throw your shield at him. In fact, the second upgrade to the shield makes it so hitting the plasma shield hits a ton of other demons too. So you're actually stupid for doing anything other than throwing your shield at him. Alright, that's just one shield guy. What about this shield guy? Should you toss a nade at him? Should you outmaneuver him? Nope. Just shoot it and then throw your own shield. That's it. The main issue I have with this is that Doom has always had what people call a combat puzzle, where you manage your arsenal of both equipment and weapons to get through encounters. In fact, here's what game director Hugo Martin has to say on this.
So, because we want to encourage you to move around your arsenal and explore and sort of fight the enemies using combinations of attacks. So the combat puzzle is still there, it's just different and been updated for Dark Ages.
So let's talk about that arsenal that Martin wants you to be moving through, because this is the staple of a Doom game. They have always hit it out of the park, and this time is truly no different, at least in terms of design. The implementation here is what sucks. One quick nitpick I'm just gonna throw in here is that the way you get guns in this game is pretty anticlimactic. In Doom 2016, you were scavenging around and grabbing the weapons off of bodies, which was really fitting of the tone set out in that game. In Doom Eternal, many weapons would spin in this retro arcade style and wait to be collected. Also very befitting of that game. In Doom the Dark Ages, many of the weapons are just given to you, airdrop from above. In one cutscene, you can see Doom Guy literally start assembling a rocket launcher and you think, oh, finally. Guess where that goes? Minor gripe aside, the big problem is that there's a bunch of really cool weapons in this game and no reason to use them. Weapon swapping has been core to this game since the very beginning. Ammo was scarce. Sometimes enemies were better dispatched by some weapons than others. You don't have to be doing quick swaps at 200 APM, but you do have to be smart with your weapon choice. In this game, they don't bother with that at all. Ammo is very abundant. It can be acquired quickly with your melee, and you're going to be meleeing often. And there's almost never a reason to swap weapons. In fact, for a reason I cannot fathom, they actively punish you for even trying. Swapping weapons takes forever, is hugely inefficient, and you can't parry while it's happening. The core of the Doom formula has been changed here, and now you only need to use one weapon for the entire game. They give you a gun that shoots out skull fragments, which is insanely metal, and no reason to ever use it. You use one heavy hitting gun like the chain shot, the impaler, or the super shotgun, and then you just worry about shielding and parrying for the rest of the game. Oh god, parrying. Here's an enemy that can only be killed by shield bashing. Here's one that needs to be parried. Here's another one that needs to be parried. Here's yet another one that needs to be parried. Yeah, we gotta talk about parrying. Along with the shield, they also brought in a parry, so with precise timing, you can parry and counterattack opponents. This sounds cool and interesting. I actually really like parrying in other games. I love Sekiro. But you are going to hate it by the end of this game. So many enemies are dispatched in the exact same way. You get close to them, you wait for them to attack, parry, shoot, repeat. This parry loop frags. It's not even difficult, it's just boring. And all of this, the shield dominance, the lack of weapon swapping, the parry fatigue, it adds up to a game that still plays pretty well, but it definitely doesn't play Doom. The biggest problem is that it all disrupts the flow of combat. Having a shield slows down the gameplay in a way that I personally don't find fun, but I also don't think is very emblematic of the Doom franchise. I should be ripping and tearing. I should not be standing and waiting. Actually, speaking of ripping and tearing, where the hell are the glory kills? Yes, with this new entry in the Doom franchise, they have decided to mostly remove glory kills, save for a couple chainsaw ones from above. And the game is way worse off for it. Glory kills added so much personality and style. You could rip off a Pinky's tail and slap them with it. Put a soldier against the wall and stomp out their head. Stick an explosive down their throat and watch them explode. It's gruesome and it's over the top and it's ridiculous and it's exactly what Doom is all about. The devs decided that glory kills disrupted the flow of combat too much to have a place in the Dark Ages.
Feels more fluid. All the good things. We're not just look, put it this way. If it didn't feel good, it wouldn't be in the game. There's no reason why we wouldn't do glory kills again.
And as a quick aside, I actually do think that the Doom franchise is in good hands. These guys love this franchise. They play the hell out of it. I don't believe it was done to cut costs. I believe they thought it was too disruptive. But if you remove something that has become iconic for your franchise now, you better have something really good to replace it. And that's not it. So they added this kick and punch animation to finish off enemies instead. But if you thought the animations of glory kills was too repetitive, ooh. Hugo Martin also brings this up in an interview.
Multiple glory kills in succession was something we tried to do for like 10 years and just didn't really fit in the other games. A lot of times you'd have multiple characters or two characters staggered right next to each other. You perform the one glory kill in 2016 or Eternal. By the time you turn to the other guy, he's already out of the stagger. And it also just kind of feels disjointed. So in this game, by unsyncing them, you know, they're more like executions. You know, you're able to just move from one guy to the next.
Dude, the same thing that he is talking about, the problem that is fixed, happens in the clip that he is talking over. I did not add that. He talks about how this new system is so that you can execute multiple dazed enemies, but the clip shows that the problem still exists. If you remove something, especially that added so much to the franchise, and replace it with these lackluster additions, it feels like a different game. But glory kills have only been around since Doom 2016. What about something that has been in the Doom franchise since the very beginning? Exploration in Doom is essential. Doom has always been the kind of game that makes you double back, check new spaces and routes, and rewarded you for your curiosity. Doom: The Dark Ages does not do that. They set out to create larger, more open levels that allowed for more enemies to be on the screen at one time, which I do think benefits combat. However, everything else suffers greatly from it. Far more time is spent traversing these big, pretty empty levels, especially because you need to get secrets. Secrets in past Doom games have been anything from toys, to cheat codes, to power-ups, albums, and also resources to make your character stronger. This game said, no, we'll do it different. Weapon skins, codex entries, toys, those can be the fun secrets. Everything else feels like a resource that you are compelled to get because they all make your character better. Gold, rubies, race stones, life sigils, and demonic essence are all incredibly important towards leveling up your character and weapons. Ideally, you put enough of them in the game that you don't feel compelled to get them all, but they still feel fun to find. In past Doom games, you might spot one in an area and have to puzzle out how you might get to it. If Doom Eternal in 2016 were like crossword puzzles, Doom: The Dark Ages is like a 1x1 Rubik's Cube. The map tells you where everything is, and unlike previous Doom games, the fun secrets don't really exist. The game takes itself too seriously to have cheat codes or albums or retro levels. It wouldn't fit the tone of the game. So instead, they handhold you through every secret, and the result is that they all feel like a chore to get. I know, you don't totally believe me yet. Look at this example. In Doom Eternal, there were these Slayer gates where you'd need a purple key hidden somewhere around the gate to find them. It would essentially clue you into the existence of a secret and let you figure out the puzzle, which is often very rewarding. So, How might you find a purple key in Doom the Dark Ages? Well, in addition to it, of course, being on the map, there's a fucking arrow pointing to it. They managed to make the secrets feel more like chores than challenges, which completely strips away the satisfaction of uncovering one. Doom at its core was a gameplay first game, so any departures from that gameplay have to feel justified, and historically I would say that they actually have been. But this game makes a truly interesting choice, putting a very heavy emphasis on the story. The Dark Ages is a $70 game, which is already $10 more than Doom Eternal was when it came out, but it actually only has the campaign. There's no other modes. There's no multiplayer, there's no master levels, there's no bonus modes at all, just the campaign. Instead, they use the development resources that would have gone into something like that into these detailed cutscenes. And maybe you know where I'm going with this. The amount of actually playing Doom in this Doom game has gone down dramatically, both due to cutscenes and the empty exploration I mentioned before. But I do think Doom the movie could have worked. It doesn't, the story in this sucks, but it could have. Doom 2016, for my money, had the perfect amount of story. You learned so much in the game through these cutscenes in such a short period of time. Doom Guy actually has a lot of personality in these cutscenes. He's not characterized by just angry Marine.
Last 24 hours, but you must understand. Our interest in their world was purely for the betterment of mankind. Everything has clearly gotten out of hand now, yes. But it was worth the risk, I assure you.
Don't get me wrong, he's definitely still angry, but you can see that he actually really cares about humanity. He gets mad in the elevator because of the dead human on the floor, not because he wants to go kill demons. Although he does really want to kill demons. He seems kind of reckless because he doesn't really care. He just wants to help out humanity, and he can clearly tell what isn't helping. And also, he's shown as like a weirdly good judge of character when he goes to delete Vega and takes that extra pause to save him. It's actually really great characterization for a guy who does not speak throughout the whole game. Doom Eternal went a little crazier with flashbacks and cutscenes that kept putting emphasis on Doom Guy's past. In my opinion, they went a bit too far in putting the focus on a lackluster story, but the actual plot of Doom Eternal is actually pretty solid. Go kill these 3 Hell Priests that are invading Earth, and eventually stop the Icon of Sin, who is resurrected due to Doom Guy's interference with the Con Maker's plan. Use a bunch of big words, but for the most part, it's actually very simple. These games did an excellent job of knowing what mattered, which was the gameplay, and still adding the little bits of lore for the nerds that really cared. This time though, they openly say that they are catering towards the nerds, and frankly, it shows.
And it's funny because people are like, we shouldn't have story in Doom. And it's just like, well, if you sat in any press interview with us, it's usually like the first thing that people ask about. They ask them about the lore.
It's 60% most what we talk about in our streams because people just keep asking.
The story in this game is messy, unmotivated, and really bland. They attempt to add something new in the form of Azrak, a direct opponent of the Slayer for the campaign, but forget to make him at all threatening. He does not do anything in this campaign until the very end. Thera, the Princess Commander, is devoid of any personality and comes off incredibly one-note. Novik is also given poor characterization, but the worst offender, honestly, is Doom Guy. What has always made the Slayer interesting is that his motivations are always really clear. He cares about humanity and hates demons so incredibly much that it makes him powerful. Now, the interpretation of powerful has changed over time, but around the DLC for Doom Eternal, he started getting a little too serious and the humanity aspect was completely gone. They had him talk, then make him a bit more stoic, heroic, like an action star. To be clear, he has always been this like masculine dream of like being shredded and tearing through anything that gets in your way, but over time he's actually lost a lot of the characterization that made him interesting, and instead it's been more towards this other heroic masculine icon. Namely, Master Chief. The running and jumping onto aircraft, the quiet stoicism. Hell, they're even giving him one-liners now. I think there's a vacuum in the AAA gaming space where Halo used to be, and maybe id thought that this was Doom Guy's chance, and it just does not work for me. Doom Guy does not work as a protector of humanity when these are the people he's protecting. You just don't care, and humanity is not even where it ends. The ending has Doom Guy's dragon mount slain by Azrak, and I felt absolutely nothing at all because the characterization between these two was so incredibly weak. The story makes it seem like this is what turns the tides and motivates Doom Guy to overpower Azrak, but as a player, I just don't care. Which is funny because usually killing an animal is the silver bullet. That's like the thing that works in all media. I find it really disappointing that the replayability has been stripped away for a story that is arguably the weakest of the three. But you know what's not arguably the weakest? People rightly give a lot of praise to Doom 2016 and Eternal for the music, but I actually think Doom has always had really good music. The Doom Eternal title screen is Icon of Sin from Doom 2 reworked, and they both sound amazing. Mick Gordon made the new Doom franchise what it was. You weren't buying a game, you were buying a soundtrack that happened to have an awesome game in it. It's been said 1,000 times, but it really is worth singing the praise of Mick Gordon and the effect that he has had on Doom. So, with the public falling out of Mick Gordon and id back in 2020, there were some enormous shoes to fill. And unfortunately, the new guys are wearing like those weird toe shoe things. Music does not bang, it does not slap, it just kind of exists. It hums. It's just there. It's not distracting, it's not bad, but in a Doom game, that's basically a sin. So here's the deal. Doom the Dark Ages is a good game. It looks amazing, it runs great, the accessibility options are awesome, and the gun and enemy design, top notch, amazing. But great visuals and performance can't mask that this game is just something different. It's not a new evolution of Doom, it's reinventing the wheel in a way that does not serve the franchise. I respect the risks. I'm glad that this game is not just Doom Eternal 2, but my respect for the ambition does not mean I'm going to be silent on its execution. This is a good 7 out of 10 shooter, but it's not Doom, and I probably won't ever come back to it.